Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Rachel. I just wanted to wish you all a happy new year. So happy that we made it out of that shithole that was 2020. If you're new to this channel, boy do I have a story for you. If you know exactly what happened to me, because you probably heard about it on Gabby's channel, we'll just hang out. I honestly don't even know where to start this story because I feel like it goes so far back. I'm gonna start in September of 2020. That's kind of where shit hit the fan, literally. In September of 2020, I, just working, having a chill day. It was a regular old Monday. I got hit with the worst food poisoning that you could ever imagine. It came on pretty slow and then it hit real strong and wasn't your normal typical flu. I never had like a fever. It was just all in my stomach and it was awful. It wasn't really coming out, this way. It was more just, you know what I mean? I had to go to urgent care because it was like 4 days and it wasn't slowing down. I couldn't eat anything. Like I would take 3 bites of food and I was full. So I wasn't really eating, really awful. So got that on Monday, went to urgent care on Thursday. I was like, yo, you gotta help me. They did blood tests, they did stool samples. I just remember casually mentioning to my doctor that I had, some side pain and also it was in my back, but I've dealt with scoliosis my whole life, so I always thought that my back pain was gonna be my scoliosis. And he was like, huh, that's kind of strange, you should probably get an ultrasound. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, whatever, but I'm here for my sickness, And it turns out that I actually had this thing called Campylobacter. Might be actually saying it wrong, but it's kind of like E. coli. It's in that category. But yeah, long story short, did that, got some antibiotics and started feeling better with that. And then, that eventually got better. When I went back to urgent care to talk about how I'm feeling and if the antibiotics were working, they were like, did you get that ultrasound? And I was like, no. And they're like, you need to do that. You need to do that. Okay, cool. I did the ultrasound. It really hurt because they have to put the camera really high up in there, because it was on my left abdomen, and I was like, huh, this is kind of uncomfortable. I thought it was gonna be when you get an ultrasound when you're pregnant, it's all magical and everything. No, it was not like that. So after that, I remember I was working, and I actually work with my boyfriend. We had a shift together. I remember getting that phone call. Well, I actually called urgent care. Hey, I never got my blood test result. Then she was just like, oh, we got your ultrasound result. Something's wrong with your kidney, and that's all I can tell you. And I was like, oh. I was so taken off guard because I thought it was about my blood test. I remember I just put the phone down and my boyfriend was like, hey, what was that? What was that? Oh my god. I remember I just started bawling my eyes out. I guess I was I just didn't expect anything. I'm so shocked right now. They couldn't really tell me anything, but something's wrong. That's all they could say. And I was super scared, and he was like, oh my god, you need to go home. You need to rest. I don't know what's going on. So I went home and I told Gabby, and she was like, what the fuck? And I was like, I know. And they just told me to wait for the doctor to call me. I was waiting around. I was like, I feel like this is big news. I feel like they shouldn't take this long to tell me. So then I just ended up calling them back 3 hours later. I was like, yo, what's going on? You actually need to come in to discuss your ultrasound result. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. So that was scary because I was like, okay, well that seems big, that I have to speak to a doctor in person about it. Gabby went with me. She couldn't go inside urgent care, but she sat in the car and waited. So basically when you get an ultrasound, they say it's like an underwater photo of what's inside of you. So it's not really clear, and they didn't have a definite answer, but they just said you either have a cyst or you have a stone. So I was like, okay. That didn't really help me, and it just scared me more. And then he started going on about my history in my family, if I had cancers, and then I was like, what? I was starting to freak out, and he was like, I just said that, yeah, my dad's mom had colon cancer, and he goes, oh, you need to get a colonoscopy. And I just went to the car to Gabby, and I was like, oh my god, dude, this is bad. I'm laughing now, but I was scared. Then I was like, okay, dealing with the fact that this is what's happening. So they were like, you need to get a CT scan net, we'll go from there. So I was like, okay. So I got the CT scan. Not even an hour after that, they said I needed to go back to urgent care and talk to the doctor and go over the results. She basically just could confirm that it was a stone, but she said that she's like, we also see that there's like this mass in your kidney. A mass? Like what do you mean a mass? I was like, okay, like I don't know, like I don't remember, I don't even think I googled it because I felt like my situation was rare, and I was like, okay, this is interesting, and I don't even know what to type into Google. From then on, they were like, you need to see the urologist like immediately, discuss this. And I was like, well, what do I do if I have pain from the stone? Like, what do I go to the ER? And they were like, well, you know, just take ibuprofen, it's not gonna move, go home, just take some ibuprofen and Tylenol and just like wait it out till urology. So I went to the urologist, and he just basically said that it is bad. My condition is unique because I was born with this mass in my left kidney. I have accumulated over 20 to 30 or more kidney stones, I guess, since I was born, and they haven't moved, and they're not able to leave my kidney. They can't go through normal kidney stones because of my mass. They said that you have to get surgery, and it has to go through your back. It's called a PCNL surgery. After he said like 20 stones, I was kind of just like, wait, like my mind was just like, I wasn't even paying attention anymore at that point. Can I have like my parents in here with me when we discuss this surgery, because I can't remember anything and I am kind of tripping out. I just didn't feel strong anymore, and I was starting to get really scared, and this was like towards the end of October. And so they said, okay, yep, you'll meet with your surgeon on November 4th, and you can bring your parents. They're allowed to be there. They just have to have masks. They can talk to the surgeon and ask any questions that you may have. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna come up with a whole list of questions and have that ready for you when we talk about this. After all that, then we talked to the surgeon, drew up my kidney, and he showed me the x-rays. It just looked like this giant white thing in my kidney, and they showed that the contrast wasn't leaking out of my kidney fast enough. They were shocked that I could even pee okay, like I wasn't having any issues. And they were basically just like, yeah, you know, there's no way getting around this, like we have to do this surgery. You're only gonna be accumulating more of them. There's nothing you could have done in your diet, how much water you drink, none of that was gonna be a determination for this. It was just gonna happen either way. So I kind of just had to deal with the fact that it was, you know, it's the inevitable. Can't really get around that. They said that my surgery wasn't gonna be until December 7th, which, what the heck? I mean, I have kidney stones. I've been carrying around all 20 of them for like my whole life. I thought it was gonna be quicker. Kind of disappointed that it wasn't in November, at least. Long story short, had my surgery on the 7th in the morning, and it's kind of cool because at the hospital they do this like little tracker for your family. Since they can't be there, it says like how far along I am into surgery, and then like when I'm done, when I'm recovering and all that, which I thought was pretty cool. So they said, you know, they told my family that everything went well, that I was doing amazing, I was thriving, you know, everything was good, Gucci, got all the stones out. I was gonna be, you know, just jumping and moving around in no time. It was all good to go. That was definitely not the case. I woke up from anesthesia. Forewarning, this is my first surgery. This is my first time being under anesthesia. It was my first time being in a hospital. I don't know how you're supposed to feel waking up from surgery. I assumed that it was supposed to be in pain, but you know, like you feel better pain. I assumed like, you know, my back would hurt or something. I did not feel good at all. It was terrifying, if I'm being honest with you. What really made me upset was the nurse immediately asked me, she was like, scale of 1 to 10, which is what they're supposed to do of pain. What I didn't like was she said to me, level 10 being childbirth, and she put that in my head that like she almost made my pain seem not real. I wasn't allowed to say like how much pain I was in. She put that bad taste in my mouth and made me think like I'm not a level 10 basically. And so I downgraded it and I said 7, which was a downgrade. Probably feeling more like 8, 8.5, 9. And so she was like, okay, here's some Tylenol. That's it. She told me to get dressed. She told my mom to go get the car, and that was that. I mean, it was like very quickly, and this was just an hour being after surgery. I remember I stood up and I tried to put on my jacket and I literally almost threw up, gagging. It was really hard, and my mom was like, are you okay? I was like, I don't know, like I don't know, you know. I was so confused, like I didn't know how I was supposed to feel. So then my mom went to go get the car, and like the nurse had me like go to the bathroom and pee, and like she was like, it's supposed to be bloody like this, it's gonna be bloody for a couple of days, blah 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 blah. And she just was talking, and I was just like, am in so much pain. Like, I don't know what's happening. I'm so nauseous. Like, it was awful. Put me in a wheelchair and put me in my mom's car. And if I'm being 10,000% honest with you guys, I don't really remember going home. Like, I remember the car ride and I just had my eyes closed. I was basically just trying to sleep it out. Gabby, like, apparently told me that I was like mumbling and I was like white as a ghost, and like I just didn't look like myself, and she was really scared. And I honestly don't remember going home. Like, I really don't. I remember like laying in the bed at home just being like, I kept telling everybody. I told my dad, I told my mom, I texted people that were texting me about my surgery. I was like, this is the worst pain I've ever been in my entire life. And if that wasn't like a giant sign that, you know, I'm supposed to be getting better from the surgery, the whole night I woke up every like 2 hours. My boyfriend was heaven sent. He put the bag in front of me and I would throw up and pee. It was literally a shit show. It was awful. Limping to the bathroom, like I was limping. I couldn't even stand straight. He was holding me up, was helping me to go to the bathroom, and I was throwing up. I mean, nothing. I was throwing up bile because there was nothing in my body from the surgery. Yeah, I just had a barf bag, and I was doing this every 2 to 3 hours. I would get up. That would be my routine. I was just miserable. I was literally miserable. Tuesday, right in the morning, on like the afternoonish time, my mom called the urologist and said that I looked like I had a fever. It was a little baby fever. She was saying all my symptoms, you know, like I didn't really look good. You know, the pain, none of the pain medicine was helping. Just didn't look good, and they were like, you need to take her to the ER like right now, like immediately. So they packed me up and put me in the ER. That was the first time. So I was in the ER. They had me on really high pain medication, put me on so much nausea medication. They gave me a catheter to try to help the leakage because they thought that maybe that's what was causing me pain. So they gave me a catheter, and I had fantastic nurses in the ER, just incredible. They asked me, you know, what's your level of pain to 1 to 10? I said 9, and they just took it to heart. They took me seriously, and I felt validated. It was great. It was the first time that I felt like I was taken care of and in good hands, and they wrapped me up in a warm blanket, and they gave me so much pain medicine. I felt like I was floating on a cloud in a good way. I had like 2 CT scans done. Nothing was coming back. They took me to my hospital room. I stayed the night in the ER. I was taking oxycodone like every night, and none of that was helping. And I kept telling my nurse, I was like, nope, I'm still in pain. I'm still 7. I'm still at a 8. And they're like, well, we want you down to a 3 or 4. That's what you should be feeling. And I was like, well, I'm not. Then the next morning, my mom finally came and was able to visit, and only my mom was able to come in. I remember then they finally gave me ibuprofen, which I guess they haven't this whole entire time, but they finally gave me ibuprofen through my IV. It immediately made me feel better, like immediately. Like I was starting to eat. They had me walk around the hospital once. I had my catheter. I was good to go. And so they were like, okay, she's good for discharge. Let her go, let her go. We went home, and I was like, okay. I was like, actually, I wasn't like throwing up or anything. I remember I was talking to my boyfriend and Gabby, and I was like, yo, like I'm actually feeling good. I feel like I'm at a level 4. I'm starting to feel better. I barely ate like a peanut butter and jelly that night, and I took ibuprofen, but it just downgraded very quickly and through the night. And I just remember rubbing my stomach. I was just rubbing it so hard, and I was like, oh my god, like it hurts so bad. And the noises it was making, it was just like, it was not good. It felt like I was going back to a really bad place. I remember in the morning, like Obed and Gabby were trying to get me to eat, putting apples in my hands and trying to get me to eat it. We took my temperature and it said 100.3. So then my mom was like, fuck. We called the urologist again, and they said, yep, you have to take her back to the ER. Their faces, I just felt so bad. They immediately were so discouraged. We all were just really scared. So I got back in the car, and I got my big robe on because I had a catheter and everything, and I couldn't really wear pants. I had to say bye to them at the door again, and I had to go by myself. It was really scary. You know, they had to make sure I wasn't in a COVID zone. You know, they put the IV in, and they said, you know, what's going on. on. I explained to them that I'm having the same symptoms that I did yesterday when I was in the ER. It took a while for them to get me into the CT scan. I was in my hospital. They already checked me into a hospital room. And so I was laying there, and I remember the nurse comes up to me and she's like, hey, here's your wheelchair. Go to the CT scan. And I was like, hell no. You gotta wheel me in there with the bed because I cannot even remotely get up and walk over to this wheelchair and get wheeled and bumped all the way through this hospital hallway. Like, no way. She's like, oh, I didn't understand your condition. Wheeled me in there, and then they wanted me to, you know, shimmy onto the bed on the CT scan, and I requested the sling because I literally couldn't even move my body. It hurt so bad, and they put me, it's kind of like a giant claw. It just like picks you up, puts you on to the CT scan bed. Was on there, and they said, you know, this one's gonna be a little bit longer because than I was used to, because I had to sit under it for 10 minutes and they just had to watch my kidney flow and see what was going on. Put me back in the sling, put me back in my hospital room, and not even a minute into my hospital room, the nurse comes in with like 2 other nurses, and they all have like walkie-talkies. She goes up to me and she says, honey, you have to go to the OR. Like, okay, cool. Cool. Okay, like we gotta do a skin check. It like registered, and I was like, wait, what's the OR? And she goes, oh, honey, it's the operating room. I was in so much pain at that point. I was like, great, let's get it moving. Let's go. I don't even know what's happening, but let's do it, because if it gets me better, then like, yeah, let's run to the OR. Let's go to the OR. So they did like the skin check. I was like, hey, can you call my mom? Can you let my family know? Like, I don't know what they know and what's happening. And she goes, yeah, like I can call your mom, honey, but I don't know what's going on. I don't know what surgery you're getting. And I had my phone with me in the ER. She's like, you could just text them real quick and let them know that you're going. So I texted Gabby, and I was like, oh fuck, I really don't want to do this, because it was like 7:30. It was like 8 p.m. by then. I was like, I feel so bad for what I'm just about to drop onto my family. But texted Gabby, I was like, going into surgery, love you. Like, literally couldn't even say anything else. Put my phone, and they just wheeled me through. I just remember, you know, they did the skin check, and they made sure, you know, they checked my bruises. I had a shit ton of bruises on my arms from all the IVs that I had. They were like, okay, like let's wheel her in, and they had to call in the anesthesiologist because the surgery wasn't planned. It was an emergency, and I still at this point didn't know what the fuck was going on. Wheeled me into the OR, and they were like, okay, honey, state your name, your birthday, and your surgery. And I was like, I don't know what surgery I'm getting. And they were like, oh, okay, can you at least say like where you're getting it or what it's for? And I was like, my left kidney. And they were like, okay, good enough, let's go. And then they put the anesthesia in, and that was that. And I woke up, and this time I remember waking up from anesthesia, and I was way more like shook. I was like, holy fuck, what just happened? My anesthesiologist was luckily very funny, very nice. He got me through it. He was like, you know, stay with me, how's your pain level, what's going on, talk to me, open your eyes, look around. And finally they put me into my room. 2 a.m. texted Gabby in bed, and I was like, I'm okay, I'm out of surgery. I obviously wasn't expecting a response, but I just wanted to let them know that I was okay. I woke up the next day, and my nurses were very sweet, and they talked to me, and they said, your kidney was torn. I guess from the first surgery they nicked it or something. It was leaking. All of this urine or whatever gets processed in your kidney, it was leaking in your body. I'll never forget that. I was like, wait, what are you telling me right now? I've been walking around with a torn kidney for 3 days. You weren't septic, everything's fine, and now you have these 2 nephrostomy tubes coming out of your back. They're gonna leak everything that is coming out of your kidney. You have to, you know, empty them out every 2 hours or so in the little baggie. It's basically like a back catheter. It was all kind of just hitting me very quickly at that point. And they also said that one of the tubes is like inside of me, and it's almost serving as like a stent, which a ureteral stent is a tube that is from your kidney all the way to your bladder. It's very long, very far. It helps like urine go into your bladder. It helps your kidney out, so your kidney's not doing as much work, so it can heal. They said I had to have these tubes in for until my kidney was completely closed and healed. They kept me in the hospital again another day just to make sure that everything was good. They're like, we don't want you in the ER again. Like, I was like, no, okay. Went home on Saturday morning. Everything was getting better, finally. Yep, so I had my tubes and we were moving along. My first appointment for my tubes, and you know, they're like, wow, that's still draining a lot. You know, you're not gonna get those out yet. So I was like, okay, cool. And he ended up like moving the tube to get a better drainage. I don't even know. It hurt so freaking bad. I'm happy at the time that I didn't know what was going on, because all this stuff makes me very nauseous. Like imagining these tubes in and out of my back and my kidney, and I'm not good with medical stuff. I was like, bro, just don't tell me what's going on. Just do what you gotta do and give me nausea medication and we'll go from there. I had like 2 more appointments after that and they still weren't ready yet. Finally, day before Christmas Eve, he pulled out one of that tube that was like from my back. He said that the other one has to stay in completely until it's healed. Took that one out, and that one felt really fucking weird when it came out. It's not gonna feel normal by any means, but it felt weird. It felt like a worm was escaping my body. I was like, okay, oh great, right? Left the other one in, but I got the bags out, so the bags weren't collecting anymore. Still had that one tube inside of me. After Christmas, I went back in that Monday. Yeah, he was like, okay, like, I think we're ready to pull them out. I was like, cool. But we went to like the x-ray room. I was standing, expecting to get an x-ray. He was like, all right, let me take a look at it. Pulled it on out and pulled it out all the way from my bladder to my back kidney. That did not feel great. That was very, very disturbing. Not painful, but very disturbing. I almost passed out. I had to sit down. I thought I was gonna throw up. He was like, oh, that felt a little funny. And I was like, oh, yeah. Funny is one word you could use. Like, you know, this is all we can do. If you feel like you have to go back to the ER, if you feel pain, you know, call me first and then we can go from there. I'm kind of, you know, just in the long haul, seeing if, 'cause that was last Monday. So I'm just basically seeing if I have to go back to the ER, which I don't, luckily. The only downside was the stent was really very, very irritating, because it feels like you have to pee like 24/7, and then when you go pee, it doesn't feel like you completely empty out your bladder. Very, very irritating. I'm still recovering from having that stent. My back is healing pretty well. I now only have Band-Aid on the holes. They're supposed to be closing up, I guess, sometime soon. It's getting better. January 2nd, I finally have my energy back. Stairs are still tricky. I'm not back at work yet. I feel so grateful to have the best family, the best boyfriend to get me through this. It was the worst. It was the worst time of my life, and I've never been in more pain. I can laugh about it now, which is probably when you know that it's better, but if I'm being honest, I was laughing the whole way through it because that's just my personality. Enough of the sadness, enough of the 2020 era. Fun fact, which is kind of sad, but Taylor Swift literally dropped Evermore the day of my emergency surgery, and I'm not even putting that lightly. Like, while I was going under anesthesia, she was releasing Evermore into the world. I'm gonna do a video for you guys about Folklore versus Evermore, because I feel like I have to, you know, they're sister albums, and I'm gonna do it with my sister. So I just wanted to end this video here because I have nothing else to say. Sorry if this video was long and boring or sad and awkward. I don't know. I wanted to make this video for you guys so you know what actually happened through my mouth. Also, just for me, it feels good to finally have closure and to let it out. I haven't really been able to sit with this story and talk about it, you know, by myself and without feeling pressure from anybody else about what I'm supposed to feel. This is me, this is my story, this is what happened. I went through that. I'm happy I went through that. I mean, not happy, but you know, if we're looking at the glass half full kind of thing, I'm happy I went through it. It showed me how strong I am. Anyways, fuck 2020. Happy New Year. Positive vibes to you all. You have a great rest of your day, and I will see you guys soon on my channel. Bye.